Welcome back as always. Today, instead of me doing what I do on this stuff, I wanted to share some footage with you that I shot in September of 2007. This footage is of the first Moog symposium they had in New York just before the Moog Fest that year. And Herb Deutsch was there as part of the panel discussion, and he had a lot of very interesting things to say about Bob Moog. Deutsch, besides being an experimental composer in his own right, is also probably best known for palling around with Bob Moog and helping him develop the initial Moog synthesizer setup. In fact, it was he who famously or infamously was pushing Bob in the direction of attaching a keyboard to the system, so it would operate through that and not through the non-keyboard way that, let's say, Buchla was putting his system together. So depending on whether or not you live on the East Coast or the West Coast, I suppose you could look at Bob Deutsch as either an angel or a devil. I am squarely in the middle on this argument because who cares, really? It's a bunch of oscillators. I don't care how you trigger them. Good work, Bob. Anyway. I hope you find this footage enjoyable, and thank you again for visiting.
For those of you who do not know, I built a Melodia theremin in the Melodia model theremin, which was Bob's theremin that he designed and was selling as a kit in about 1963, 1962 maybe, when I first, and I called up. What I did is, like everyone, there was an article about building your own theremin that Bob had written for Electronics World magazine. And that's all in your book. But anyway, that's how we, in a sense, first touched. But I hadn't met him at that point, so I had called the house and said, I tried to build one of these theremins, but I don't know how to wind coils. And then that's the secret of the theremin. And so I could never get the theremin to work, so then I called up and I talked to Shirley, Bob's wife at that time, and she said, well, the first thing she did is criticize me for saying Moog, which well, I learned very early. But I did buy the kit and built it, and then met Bob later on in '63, actually, at a NISMA All-State conference. NISMA All-State is the New York State School Music Association, and I went up there when I was just starting as a teacher. In fact, it may have been my first year teaching, first year full-time, and I just went up, and there was Bob Moog. But all I saw was this really nice-looking man selling, or standing. I don't think he was selling anything at the time, but he was just standing there waiting for people to buy things. And he had the Melodia theremin, along with tubas, and that was
Walter Sear.
Walter Sear. Thank you. I needed the name. Walter Sear was selling tubas and sharing the booth with Bob Moog selling theremins, kits. So theremin kits and tubas. And Walter Sear's tubas were great tubas. They were very good. So here were these really expensive tubas, and of course, high school kids are coming over and looking at tubas. That's, and they had no idea what this theremin was. And I saw Bob, and we just started talking, and that was the end of it. I mean, we just talked, and I don't think anything else went on for hours except talking about electronic music and what it was and what it could do. And then at a concert a little bit after that, it was in January in the city, and Bob went down and recorded it. And after that, we talked about, let's really get together, because we could build a new instrument, And we got together finally in 1964. I always tell this story. I'm sorry if I'm going to bore you, But I was teaching in Hofstra. It was my first year, and we had this chair of the department, and he was he loved electronic music, and he really wanted to support us. And I said, I contacted Bob, and I said, send me a real formal letter. So he wrote a really formal letter on, his stationery, and signed it and said, would like you to come up and work on this new instrument. And I gave it to the school, and I went to the dean's office, and I got a research grant to go up to develop a new musical instrument at $200. And I'm still teaching there.